The omniscience of God's silence. What was God doing as Lucifer was planning such a disastrous rebellion in heaven? Why was he silent and passive? I have said in my earlier book that God's will has two spheres or two circles or levels. Many people think of God's will as a simple issue or liking or disliking something. They think that if God wants certain things, He brings them to come to pass at any cost. And if He doesn't like certain things, He stops them at any cost. If that was the case, God would be better suited to be called a dictator, not a father. There are two levels in God's will. One is determinate will and the other is his permissive will. Balaam is the best example here. Initially, God didn't want Balaam to go with Balak's man to curse Israel. But as Balaam was repeatedly asking God about it, and God saw that Balaam was interested to go. He finally said, "Okay, Balaam, you can go with them." God's determinate will was that Balaam shouldn't go to Israel. Later, God's permissive will was revealed and fulfilled. God made room for the permissive will in his heart at the very moment he decided to create other individuals like himself. He was creating individuals and persons who made the power of discretion and choice like him, the creator. If God had made persons with power of choice, they must be allowed to use their discretion and make their own decisions. If they made their own decisions, God's will had to become permissive, at least sometimes when the decision and actions of the created intelligence wouldn't hinder the final outcomes that is important for God. So God was exercising his permissive will as Lucifer was plotting to revolt against God. God knew that the actions of Lucifer would cause great loss, agony, and havoc in the universe for some time. But God knew that this mistake of Lucifer could be and would be used to bring out the greatest good to the whole universe and to create a and to create a universe where a fall would be inconceivable. So God allowed Lucifer's grave mistake. God allowed Lucifer to rebel against him. After all, Lucifer was doing this out of his ignorance. God has already warned and educated of all his sons about the consequences of such an attempt. Lucifer knew the consequences, fully deliberately decided to invite the eternal darkness into himself. Stopping him forcibly would be interfering with his personal freedom and self respect. That would be dictatorship. That would be dictatorship and tyranny. Moreover, such interference would be a confession from God that God did make a mistake in granting personalities to the creatures. If God didn't allow the personal faculties to function, it would mean that He was saying, "I am sorry, I shouldn't have given you individuality. I think I made a mistake." God never make a mistake. He would be saying that God made a mistake in being passive, while Lucifer was revolting and leading millions of angels to rebellion. If this is true, the mistake would be in creating individuals. We are left with only one alternative. That is, God should have made programmed computers and robots. Would any one of us like to be a robot without a will and power of choice? We do not want to be robots. We want to be people. We are happy that we are created as people. We are not happy when someone interferes with our personal freedom. We want to do what we want to do. We are happy when we can access our free will, yet we argue that God should have intervened and forcibly stopped the rebellion of Lucifer. All dear brothers and sisters, God was doing the right thing when He allowed Lucifer to rebel. All these events happened just as God had already seen in His foreknowledge. God knew what was happening and He knew what He was going to do about it. The all seeing eyes of God were silently watching this prelude of the drama of ages.